Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Sacred U's Empowerment Program, where we present, inspire, innovate, ignite conversations that really do count. We ask all of our watchers and our listeners, and on replay and live, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is in your time zone, to get inspired with what we're going to be talking about tonight, to bring your own thoughts into it. If you want to ask a question, put it in chat and it will be relayed to me, and we'll see if we can get some of our panelists, our amazing panelists, to answer those questions for you. Now, our panelists have been chosen, they've been hand chosen because of their expertise in our topic. We haven't gotten to the topic yet. And we have this opportunity now to, first of all, introduce our topic. And I'm going to tell you what it is right this minute. It's called Changing Your Internal Clock. Explore the power within during the seasons of your life. And we're not talking about birth, babyhood, teenage years, relationships, getting married, getting a job, getting old, dying, and transitioning. We're talking about something very, very different, the spiritual seasons of your life. Now, our amazing panelists tonight bring a wealth of information with them. So I'm going to introduce them, and then I'm going to introduce myself because you don't actually know who I am yet. Our first panelist is Carmela Lamanna. And Carmela has always felt a deep connection with the earth and the animals, including all the elements. Carmela's first memory of being a healer comes to her when she was about 4 or 5 years old. She healed a puppy that was pronounced dead by her dad, but she refused to believe that, and she protested to have the puppy placed in the barn so she could sit with it for days, until one day it was again up and eating and playing and doing what puppies do. And that was Carmela. That was how Carmela became her healer. Now, she is a strong empath that has acquired numerous healing tools under her belt, and she continues to share her wisdom with everybody. And I can attest to that. She is a very, very wise lady. Carmela is a strong believer that everybody has the ability to connect with their higher self and shift into a healing process. Believing is achieving. She's a shamanic practitioner, a medium, light language specialist, and sound healer. Working with intuition is a constant practice that will strengthen and shift the humanity to where we are intended to be. And that is her belief. So thank you for joining us, Carmela. Our next speaker is Diane Wargalla. Give us a wave, Diane, so people can find you and see you. There you are, that gorgeous smile. Diane Wargalla is the author of Living Supernatural in the Natural World. And never underestimate your ability. As a medium and enlightened sage, she uses satire, humor, and playful banter to coach and educate you in what it truly means to live a life of awareness, that there is a collaboration and interplay between you and your creative thoughts and energy in conjunction with the wisdom of the universe. I've known Diane for a long time, and her book is absolutely fascinating, amusing, funny, heart-bending, and you just will not want to put it down. Along with her personal experiences, Diane offers practical exercises to help you develop your own ability to communicate with the greater intelligence that lies within you. And that's part of what we're talking about tonight. That's why she was chosen. As you tap into your ability to communicate with the world beyond what your eyes can see, you expand your insight and express your potential to create the life you've always dreamed of in a world of love, calm, and happiness. So Diane is going to be bringing, along with Carmela, is going to be bringing a very different aspect to exploring this internal clock that we all have. And our next panelist is Joe Irwin. I apologize, Joe Irwin. 33 years ago, Joanne, now I get to say Joanne, was suffering deep depression after a series of events. She had emotionally hit the wall and was struggling to get through the day. As a single mom of 4 small children, it was taking control over her life. Already on a path of spiritual development, she was training several different modalities and alternative healing methods, to pull herself through when she stumbled across a nutrition company that truly turned her life around. And that was the beginning for her. This took her on a journey into wellness, personal and professional development, world leading her to discover the intricate workings of human behavior. and the mind and its power to transform our past experiences into our future desires. Joe then trained as NLP and hypnosis master practitioner and uses these skills in practice to help ambitious women who feel stuck to rediscover their true selves, supporting them to dissolve their fears, disempowering emotions, limiting beliefs, saboteurs. They can live from a place of authenticity, a calm, confident, productive, balanced, and more abundantly successful life. So thank you so much for joining us, Joe and Carmela and Diane. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. So now I'm going to tell everybody once again. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry. I'm Sue Rumack. I'm an empath trainer and overwhelm strategist. My happy day is talking to, believe it or not, overwhelmed professional people, men and women, about how to manage their internal energy to connect mind, body, spirit, with using various somatic techniques, various spiritual techniques, and some good old-fashioned logic. So that's where I come from. I've been a practitioner for about 16 years. And that was after I finished my careers as an entrepreneur, where I used all of my empath ability to be that fun person you wanted to talk to if you needed something to get managed in your life. So this is me. And now we're going to go on to talk about our actual topic. So we're talking about changing your internal clock to explore the power within during the seasons of your life. So what I'd like to start off with a little tiny story, okay? And it puts dimension to our conversation because what we're talking about really is spiritual connection. So every year I do 2 walks and talks with my mom, 2 very important days in both of our lives. And she's been gone from this life for over 50 years. But the talks always reset my internal clock to here and now. Okay, my internal clock. We talk about whatever is relevant to us, her and me. And this time we talked more about what was relevant in her world than what was relevant in mine. And we really haven't done that before. And she's been gone since I was 19. And when we do this, we go on what's called, she just says, follow your feet. So basically, I leave the house with enough money in my bag and some water. And I just, whatever turning she tells me, get on this bus, get off here, take this street, don't take that street, turn here, sit here, go there. And as part of our walk, that was exactly what we did. And we talked about many things. And we got to a place where there were 4 corners, which way to go. And she says, go that way. I said, why? She says, just go that way. I went, all right, I'll go that way. And it took me to a library. And I went into the library. And I said, what am I going to look for? And she says, look for labyrinths. I said, labyrinths. All right, I'll look for labyrinths, books on labyrinths. So I walked up to the desk person. I said, do you have any books on labyrinths? And she showed me a bunch. And then she said, no, but we do have some on mazes, which is the same thing as a labyrinth. And I said, okay, that'll do. So she brought up the list and I could see them on the screen. And there was one that stood out. And it was called Maze of Power. The Maze of Power. She said, do you want it? I said, no, I just wanted to find the title. Thank you. I laughed. Right. And I walked out of there and I said, Ma, what is this? Why the Maze of Power and why today? And she said, keep walking. We'll figure it out. And we did. And the upshot, I'm not going to tell you that whole story, but it sets the tone for our conversation. And what she told me was that within each person, we are genetically coded with a maze of power. And it's not called a maze of power. It's called the maze of power, which to me, I said, what is the difference between a maze and the maze? And she said, the maze is the same maze, the same power structure that every living sentient and non-sentient energy force in the world is connected to. It's the same maze of power that we all tap into to take what we need and to give back what we use through what we do in our lives. So what is our internal clock? Well, that's what we're going to talk about, that internal clock. Is it the maze of power, or is it your internal clock that you have been operating from through who knows how many millennia? if you believe in life before death and life after death. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. The second thing we're going to talk about is the different seasons in our lives. And that could be, I'm not talking about birth, maturing into adulthood, relationships, career, family, death, after death. That's not what we're talking about at all. What we're talking about is spiritual. It's woo-woo. It's controversial, and I love it. And I believe that we have the perfect panelists here to do that with us. So let's go back, and this is the first question I'm going to ask each one of our panelists, is what do you believe an internal clock could be or should be? Internal clock. Who'd like to start? Okay, I'm going to choose somebody. Joe, you look as if you're looking for the on to turn off your mute. So you can talk. Would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to start. Okay.
Thank you.
It's a very, very interesting and deep conversation we're about to delve into here, and one that I haven't, well, honestly, haven't had a lot of people in my life that I could delve this deep with. But here we go, right? It's quite an interesting journey that I have been on personally, and I feel like I've been alone in that journey because there's not many people that really understand what I'm talking about. So I hold back, and I have been in the past in different groups and different spiritual schools where I felt safe and I was able to explore that. I've done a lot of past life regression work in those areas, but the woo-woo that you talk about, a lot of people just don't understand, and I have to be very careful and discerning on who I speak to. So I've had many experiences over my time that now I realize that were connections to spirit. And and back then in my younger years, I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand it, and I was in a way resisting it, allowing that. And I think that was part of, also part of the trauma I'd been through in my younger years, and I wanted to resist, having that experience as a way of, I guess, supporting myself, which is what it really did, right? It was my connection to spirit and connection to earth that was guiding me every step of the way. So when you talk about what does it mean? It means
the internal clock. Yeah.
Yeah, the internal clock means guidance. Okay, it means tuning in and listening to where you are meant to be and why you have the experiences that you have to guide you to where you are going in life. So I feel very vulnerable in a way to be able to now express all of that, out into the world, because it's been many years I've just held it all in. But I use it in my work. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, I tune in and I connect, and to me, it's my sacred place, my sacred space where I can really support people and guide them as well. So
Thank you so much. I think that's a great place for us to start. Internal clock. Thank you, Joanne. I think you've really I think you've brought us into a beginning place, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Diane, what do you got to say?
Hi. Okay. What do you believe in the internal clock could be? As a medium, I've spoken to souls prior to being born, and the amount of knowledge that was given is just blew me away. To realize that we, in fact, are an infinite being in a temporary body, that we are, in fact, it's hard to believe that when a little 8-pound or 6-pound baby is born, that they are, in fact, a full-grown, developed soul that has had multiple personalities, that has had multiple lives, and they're here to experience, to share, to grow. And that's you. That's you and I, all of us. Yeah. So as a what do I believe the internal clock to be? Is continuous. We are pure energy. We are here to learn, to grow, to share, to experience. And it could be that we are, in fact, what we believe to be Christ consciousness, or the one that we are. We are simply an offspring of that one. And we are simply looking at it as a individual expressions of the one that we are, the unified one. That has been my experience.
So that internal clock for you is that unified experience that travels along a very long timeline and continues into the future. And
Absolutely.
There are way stations along that internal clock.
And that's what we call life.
I love it.
And then we call it death, but it's not. It's just simply eternal. We're simply transitioning from one transition from physical back into non-physical, and it's continuous. It's an infinite existence.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
Mine too. And I've also experienced what Joanne is talking about as well. And I found, because of straddling both worlds, and that internal clock does fit into both worlds and both realities. So we're going to continue with this. You mentioned something about birth and pre-birth. We're going to come back to that question because that's a really good one too. It's on my list.
All right.
Carmela, internal clock. What's your opinion on it?
Well, for me, there's two different aspects of that. So you can kind of figure it out or put it into. One is part of the understanding and the ability to look at things in a different way. As you expand and grow, you're able to learn how to react and how to act towards situations that are coming into our life. The other part is navigating the earth plane and having the different experiences to expand and grow ourselves and our souls. This I consider part of like a ladder, like a step, and you go from steps to step. And that to me is part of the change in the seasons. You go into one step and you learn all these things, and then that's done, and then you move up to another step, and so on and so forth. Growing to me, changing the season and the internal clock means having all these experiences here on earth and then transitioning back to the pure soul that we are, going back to the beginning kind of thing. So that's what that means to me.
So do you think that there are preset stations or way stations or plateaus on this internal clock? Just curious.
I think there's no plateaus, but I think there's like little stations that each and every one of us take a step on, and then we kind of sort of like a podium. You go there and you look around and you take notice, if you will, of this particular season. What's in your life in this season? What is it to experience in this season? What is for you to connect with this season? What is it for you to learn with this season in your life? And then when that's done and you've reached your learning capacity on this one plateau, then you get to move to another one. And to me, that is just stages. And like Diane was saying, it starts way before we can, we're born. It starts in the womb kind of thing. We start to experience all those things. And then once we transition, we go back to the purity of the essence that we are. So take on.
Joanne, before we leave here, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Oh, I love
as if you might want to.
You picked that really well. I just love what you were talking about there, because it does really feel like that, the different seasons, and it's almost like you can't move on until you get what you need to get, right? The learnings, the lessons, the whatever you need to get, so that you can go to that next step or that next level. When you tune into that, it's just like, that's how it was through my life. I couldn't move forward until I really got that full experience of, spirit or connection or whatever it was at the time, and also related to what was happening in my life, right? I was like,
that's perfect. That's a perfect segue for our next bit, because we've got so many more questions. And I know you've got a lot to say on all of them, as do all of our panelists, because that's why we're here, is to share as much as we can, as quickly as we can. Okay, so we're going to start with a season in our life. And we could almost think of it as being a pre-season in this life, not in a previous life or a previous life or a future life, but a pre-season in this life. So what power do you have to pre-birth to navigate your own birth? And this is purely conjecture. I'm going to start with Diane, if that's okay.
Could you repeat the question? What pre-birth?
Yeah, pre-birth. What power do you have, does an individual have at navigating their birth before they're born? As a medium, I'm sure you've had a lot of people talk about that with you.
I recently did a TikTok talk about the 10 things that you chose before you were born and agreed to forget when we arrived. And the first thing we chose is our parents. There's a lot of controversy out there with people challenging that they would never have chosen their parents. The reason we chose every single thing about your life, you chose, including your name, your sex, the date, the time, the location of your birth, your name. All these were chosen prior to even your parents even getting together. When I went to school, it was shown that the female egg, would have tens of thousands of male sperm coming toward it. And it was the fastest swimmer that was able to impregnate it. Whereas now they're able to show that it's not. It's the vibrational frequency. It's the female egg chooses which sperm is going to impregnate it. That is you creating yourself. There's so many scientists and so much research today that confirms that your thoughts, your intention shows up in physical reality. Look at the power of water with Dr. Emoto. You chose everything about your life right now prior to being even coming into egg and sperm coming together. You chose everything because this is the experience you wanted to have. You might have been the villain in the last life, and you wanted to know what it's like to be the recipient of that, and to be able to overcome and to be empowered or overcome fear. Or there's so many variables to our emotion, because when we're in source, when we are alive in strictly source without a body, there is no fear. There is none of this. This is like a giant playground of emotion and experiences that we each chose as an expression of the oneness that we are. That when I say the oneness that we are basically like little droplets of the ocean, all having an experience. I find that when people get so involved in the physicalness of who we are, it removes the source energy of who we are. When we can learn how to witness our life, witness it, take a step back, take a breath, calm down and witness it, so much more comes in. So much more experience comes in. We can be looking at the same thing, the same person, the same experience a million times. Remove ourselves from it and become a witness to it. And suddenly you start seeing the world in an entirely new fashion. And it's calmer, and it's happier, and it's more relaxing, it's more exciting. So what did we choose prior to birth? Prior to even being conceived? Everything. That means people get pretty damn mad at me when I say that, because that eliminates, well, I'm a victim.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
You're
we're really
empowered.
talking about changing that internal clock, which is the internal clock isn't necessarily a timepiece. It may be an identity piece. It could be, you can change it up whatever way works for you.
Absolutely.
And I think what you were also talking about was what my mom was talking about, which was the maze of power. That when you are in source, in whatever form you are part of that power structure. And it's a giant playground, like you said, giving and taking and all the rest of it. Thank you.
Calming, it's empowering. It's just a lovely way to be.
So that is one of the seasons in our life is pre-birth, and what we do with it. Fascinating. I knew this was going to get us interesting places. Carmela, what do you have to say about that?
That was amazing. I love what Diana was just saying, because my belief is similar to yours. It's very much the same. And it's all about agreements, and it's agreements about, with your parents, that you come here to do whatever your life needs to be shaped, or whatever you need to teach as a child. You need to teach the parent, and the parents need to teach the child. It goes both ways. And sometimes we make these agreements with not everybody has the understanding of when the parents also leave, when it's time for them to departure, that they live in a good term. Or if in my case, when my mom left, I was very angry because I was a child. And I couldn't understand about the agreement. Once I understood that, if she did not respect the agreement that we made prior of me coming here, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing now. So this is, it's an amazing way to have and to navigate the power that you have. It's by doing a lot of soul searching, I believe. When you do that, a lot of soul searching, you come to the understanding, you come to your own conclusion. You also come to a lot of answers within yourselves that nobody else can give you. And I've learned this the hard way. And that is the only way we can learn this, is the hard ways. And not all things that happen to us their lessons and their bad things. Like I said before, it's all how we look at things that will teach and make us grow and expand our knowledge, wisdom, and the power within. So that is my take on that.
Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, and we're talking about navigating your birth, what power do you have pre-birth? Well, yeah, you've got these agreements pre-birth, but then when you're here, and things go the way you intended them to without realizing it, and then taking the time to take it apart and go, so really, what was I to have learned? What was I to have done? What was I to have changed in order for me to reach a different something that maybe will put me back on the path now? Otherwise, I'll have to get back on the path later on somehow anyway. So you're saying question, learn, and keep moving forward, however that is.
One step in front of the other. That's why our feet are pointing forwards. Because
So
we're not meant to go backwards or sideways. We're meant to go forward. One
Except
step
if
in front of the other.
I like that. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful concept. Thank you. Now you've basically tagged into what Diane was saying and expanded it more directly into the lives we are living in the here and now, which gives us more of a 360. And now I'm waiting for Joanne to give us the last piece of that 360. Your take on navigating your birth. What power do you think you had pre-birth?
What power did I think I had? Well, at the time, I don't think I knew I had power, but now that I know what I know, and hearing the other ladies and their experience, their take on it, I totally agree. Particularly with the piece about the vibrational frequency, the match that we choose, and this had my head spinning when I learned about that we choose our own parents. And I was like, I couldn't possibly have done that, right? But later I realized how much I learned, how many lessons I why I was born into that family. And I wouldn't be where I am today on this spiritual journey without that. So I guess that comes into the piece, Carmela was talking about there, and how grateful, right? Getting to that point of gratitude of, wow, as painful as it was, how amazing my life has become as a result of choosing to be born in that family, choosing to navigate in the turmoil, in the pain, all of it, bring it on. It's quite an extraordinary take, I gather, I guess, because I know, as Diane said, a lot of people are in resistance of doing the work they need to do to reach that level of empowerment again. So yeah, both. Yeah, I'm learning a lot here from you two ladies as well. So thank you. It's bringing back alive. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I've learned.
Thank you. And you did bring us full 60. You brought us back to the reality of who we all are, and going through what we go through. And sometimes it's not easy and sometimes it's not pretty. But you are affirming that we do have power in that pre-birth. And then once we are born, we have as much of that power as we choose to take on, really, not to be the victim, to be moved into being, I used to call it victim to victor, and now I'm calling it victim to victor to thriver. Because if you get stuck in victor, there's a certain amount of ego that's involved and a certain amount of pushback and hostility and determination, and you kind of lose that softer side of yourself. And as Joanne is talking about, and Carmela and Diane, if you can move into the thriver place, then you're fulfilling that pre-birth, I'm not going to call it contract, but the pre-birth power that you had to navigate the journey that you are consistently on, because we're not finished with that journey yet, because we're still here and breathing, right? Yeah. My next question. I've got three more questions. I'm really trying to decide which one based on what we just talked about. Soul connection. It was the second on the list, so I'm going to give you soul connection. Okay, thinking about the seasons of your life, meaning the spiritual contracts that you're fulfilling in this lifetime, and there's more than one. Negotiating the soul connection so that it reflects your chosen identity and life path. Negotiating soul connection so it reflects your chosen identity, which is your pre-birth conversations, and the life path that you're following, which is our clock, our internal clock. Soul connection, reflecting all of that. Who would like to start? Diane.
Okay. So I've learned that we have, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm just spinning it around, prior to birth, we have 2 soul clusters associated with each one of us. A soul cluster in this lifetime can be other souls that agreed. It's like we're all sitting around in source energy, and one of us says, I'm going down to earth. And we go, really? You're going back there again? What for this time? And then you declare it. This is what I'm going to go for. This is what I'm going to try out, because it's like going to, it's like going on a trip somewhere. You're going to have an experience. You're going to explore. You're going to experience. And then I say, I'll come and meet you up there. I'll meet you there. I'm coming too. And then you have a soul cluster, a group of people that you all agreed, while still in source, living in source energy without a body, that they can come before you, they can come at the same time as you, they can come after you. In other words, they can be younger than you, the same age as you, or older than you. And within that soul cluster, They can be people that are here for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. It can be a glimpse of a connection, or they can be someone that can be your parent, your sibling, a cousin, someone that that you've committed yourself to. But the point is, you have a soul cluster of people that have agreed to be born in physical form around you in this lifetime. And the purpose of them is to either challenge you in order to keep you on this path of the reason why you came, or to assist you in the reason why you came. So sometimes the people who are the biggest pain in the butt are the people that you had an agreement with, because they're like, this is what you said you wanted to overcome and have this challenge. I'll be more than happy to come down here and be the biggest pain in the butt that you've ever experienced. Because once we're able to overcome that, just recently, I was totally insulted to my face. And my response was, okay, so what of it? And they were just taken back. They're like, they walked away, because I'm no longer triggered by what they had said. The trigger's gone. It's like, I am a soul having a temporary human experience. How does what they said feed into who I know I am? It doesn't. So I was able to, in earlier parts of my life, I was able to feed into it. Now gone. It's something that I was able to mature, to go through, to expand into, come into my own. The second soul cluster are people who are still in source energy. We might consider them to be, a parent, a grandparent, an angel, a guardian. We have zillions of names for them. But the point is still the same. They are part of your soul cluster, and they are doing the same job. They are watching out for you from the divine. So we have two soul clusters here in physical form, soul clusters still living in source energy, again, to help challenge you or help assist you in either way, either perceived as good or negative, and help move us along as to why did we come here, help raise us together. So I hope I understood the question.
Well, you understood the question perfectly, and you gave us a very open-ended, expanded version of negotiating those soul connections. So many people think you're only connecting with your soul, your one soul, and you've just opened up that whole Pandora's box of, oh, no. Yeah, it's your soul you're connected, but you've also got these two soul clusters, which each have their own purpose in helping you to maintain your soul connection and your identity as a soul and a human, and your life path, the one you chose before.
And you are part of someone else's soul cluster.
Yes. Ooh, good one. I love it. Good one.
It's so cool.
She's going, I did it again.
It's so cool.
It is so cool. Who'd like to step in and either add to or question? I guess Carmela just put her hand up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go. I'll follow the same, basically, that Diane was saying, but I'm going to add one more thing. The soul connections for me, there's different aspects of soul connections and soul clusters. One to me is the closest soul connection is your immediate family that you come here with. So it's your sisters, your brothers, your siblings, your husband, your children, your parents. Those are your close soul clusters that are here to work alongside with you. And then there is the teachers, the bigger teachers, who are the ones who are teaching you the hardest lessons. And they're the ones that, Dan was saying that they're the biggest pain in the butt. Because the harder the lessons, the bigger the reward, in my opinion. For me, for example, I have learned that there was something, and the story that Sue, that I had no boundaries. And so I had 3 people step in to teach me boundaries, and I did not get it until the last one that was so hard. that I felt that they pulled the rug under my feet and I fell literally on my butt. And that was the biggest teaching of, hey, need to wake up, need to put the boundaries up. You need to have boundaries, and you need to have respect for yourself, and you need to stop, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest and the most empowering soul connections that we have, that we come here with. And like Diane said, they don't have to be here for a lifetime. They could just be one stop, a season, a reason, whatever that is. It could be a teacher. It could be a coworker. It could be a person that you meet on the street. It could be a cashier at a store that you just meet one time. And they give you such a harsh wake-up call kind of thing that to me is a very big awakening into, hey, connect with yourself. Come on, snap out of it. And then the third, for me, the third soul connection is your astral family, where you come here prior, you're in your astral family. And I've had an experience where I've had my out-of-body experience, and I jumped up and I was in the sky, and I'm like looking around like, oh, here we are, all these little stars kind of flashing, and then right back into my body. I'm like, okay, that was interesting. And to me, that is also, they're looking after us, they're guiding us, they protect us, they come here to from a different aspect in the spirit world. To me, those are those thoughts sometimes that they guide us, say, hey, go here, do that, do this, don't do that, be careful of this. That's also a soul connection, in my opinion. And each and every one of them has the teachings that, we're going to go back to the steps and the levels for us to level up. Because without all those connections that we come here, we would be blindfolded and alone in a forest. So we need to be having these soul connections to be guided, kind of thing, in this world.
So it's kind of allowing ourselves to accept the guidance rather than pushing back against it and saying, no, that wasn't what I was thinking. It's being open to receiving and then contemplating how this could up-level you in some way, not being resistant to it, but at least considering it.
Stop and listen to yourself.
Stop
listen
and
to
listen.
your inside. Listen to your feelings, your body, your thought, everything within your body. It's a full mechanism. It tells you everything that you need to know. It's right in here.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. And yes, you did tie in perfectly with what you've taken us that next level. And Joanne,
Yes.
I'm waiting for your wisdom, because I know you've got some real life wisdom to give to us.
Totally agree with both the ladies here, and those connections that we have. And the piece I wanted to add is that, most humans shy, or they run away from any of this connection because of the fear. And it's easy to just bail when we don't get the lesson. We don't get the learning. We don't get what we need to get to be able to up level, as Carmela said. And I feel like, there's been certain situations, and I'm not talking about, you'd never put yourself in a dangerous situation to get those lessons at all, or stay in one. But, conflict, for instance, if we're in conflict with somebody, instead of being able to work through the conflict in a way that is going to serve both parties, often where it's easy to bail, right? It's like, nah, not doing this. It's and that's our human self. But then, as Diana's saying, go back into the soul. What's the soul? What is it that non-human part of us that is needing to learn here and needing to get, so that I can live in more harmony with myself. I can live in more harmony with others and the earth, and be able to move through that pain and those experiences that may be uncomfortable. But often we just bury all that emotion, and we bail, or we stay in pain. You know, there's two choices here. So yeah, being aware, I think that's what Carmela was saying, just being aware of what's coming up for you, and using that as an indicator to navigate your life, to navigate through those seasons, through those parts of us that are in resistance to experiencing all that is here for us. That's the piece I felt was really, you know, coming through for me, and from my own experience, and even the parts when the other soul that I'd had obviously attracted for a purpose had left. It wasn't my choice, you know, but there was so much gold in that. I didn't realize at the time, but there was so much gold in that. I needed to learn that, you know, I can be on my own. I can thrive, you know, in my life. I can empower others to do the same, you know, and what a gift, you know, what a gift that was. And I wrote about this in a collaborative book about the gifting challenges, and how, you know, we don't know at the time, we don't see at the time, but everything that's given to us on this earth is given to us for a reason, to learn, to grow and evolve. So I think that's my piece in the puzzle.
And I think that brings a beautiful human quality to all of the spiritual side that we've been talking about, because we need both. We need the harmony and the balance between the duality, is there a word for triality? I don't know, but I don't know if there is, but we do have all of these pieces, and the human piece, when we go into the spiritual, quite often we get so excited by it, and it's so mesmerizing, and it's so unique, even though we're remembering things that we already know. We just don't know we know, so it all sounds fresh and new. But we do have to, as Joanne said, stay very present in our human condition at the same time, in order for us to really support that soul identity that is continuing to up-level, evolve, fulfill its purpose, and continue moving through whatever courses it planned to move while it was in this body. We seem to have lost Carmela. I'm not quite sure what happened, but if she can rejoin us, I'm sure she will. I hope she can. I've got two more questions. We could really only have time for one. So I'm going to ask each of you to choose the one that you would like to answer, and it could be the same question. Oh, I think Carmela's coming back. Okay. Hi, Carmela. Welcome back. We're glad to see you again. It's okay, no problem. So we've got only time for one more question, and I still want to have enough time for you guys to introduce. Let's have each of you then, while we still have the good connection, let's have each of you talk a little bit about what it is that you do, your passion for what you do, what you actually deliver to your clients in your marketplace, and the special offer that will be included with the replay for people to click on a link to get. So Joanne, I'm going to start with you, because I've started with everybody else all the way through, because they have their hands up first.
Fantastic. So sorry, what I do, was that the question? Is that
what do you do? What do you do? What's special about you?
Yeah.
And what is your special gift to our audience?
Nothing special about me, only that I love and I'm passionate about guiding women into, you know, that spiritual part of themselves that gets lost and trodden, and I use a variety of things, connection mostly, to intuitively connect them to what's blocking or stopping them from moving forward, and even connecting to that place of spirit where they can operate and have a beautiful life from. My gift is to do an explore with me. Come and have a 30 minutes exploration, and I also use frequencies to help them, to connect. So yeah, I'm offering a 30-minute explore, no obligation, just have the experience, just come and feel the energy and feel what's possible for you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Joanne. I'm sure that people will have connected with your energy and want to know more about you and make that 30-minute call. Who would like to go next? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to take I'm going to take Carmela at this time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my internet's a little bit unstable because I live out into the fields. Sorry.
No problem.
So what do? I do a little bit of everything. I have a lot of tools under my belt that I have worked to expand and learn and connect with. So like Susan said, I do shamanic journeys. I connect with my spirit guides. I do oracle readings. I do mentorship, spiritual mentorship, where I walk alongside you and I connect you with your best possible ability of yourself. You know, what is it that makes you jump for joy? What is it that lights you up? And that's what I help you. It's almost like I've been told I'm the missing link. I've been told I'm the key holder, and I open the door for people and I allow them to walk through. That's kind of where I'm guided. I also will be offering a 30-minute connecting with me and having 3-card pull. I work with oracle cards a lot to connect with energy. I do channel quite a bit. So whatever it is that is meant for you, in that 30 minutes, we can discover it together.
Thank you. And that link will be under the live stream, a replay as well. All of your links will be there. Diane, please share with us, what do you do? And what is your special gift for our listeners today?
I'm an energy worker, always have been since childbirth. So I have the ability to connect in with all living dimensions, which includes your departed loved ones, which also includes being able to tap into your energy field, see the purpose and reasons why you came here, help you get unstuck, see future hurdles, help you get over them, through them, around them, and back on track as to what did you come here for? Let's get excited about it once again. Let's get unstuck. I also do public speaking and coaching. One of the gifts that I'm offering today is when you book a session with me through dianewargalla.com, I will send you an autographed copy of my book, Living Supernatural in the Natural World. Never underestimate your ability, which is jam-packed with true life stories about experiences that I personally have, so that it gives you an understanding of how powerful you are. What would a totally connected person to source energy, what would that look like? I've also included in the book is an entire chapter toward how to connect to your greater self, how to raise your frequency. What are the benefits of it? Like, why would you want it? Why bother? All of that is in the book, and I will send you an autographed copy.
Well, thank you, Diane. I have read the book and highly recommend it. And like Carmela and Diane, I know you both quite well, and I know that what you offer, anybody that reaches out to you, is very authentic. And Joanne, I'm sure that what you bring, just from your energy and how you described what you do, you are also that authentic person. So I know that anybody that reaches out to any one of the three of you, and I'm hoping that everybody will reach out to every single one of you, because each one of you has something so special and unique to offer, that they can't go wrong. They can't make a mistake in signing up for any of your free offers or your paid offers or any of that, because they will get incredible value. I'm Sue Rumack. I am a professional life coach. I am an empath trainer. I'm a healer in many ways. I'm an energy worker. I'm a channeler. I'm an author. I've got spiritual books on Amazon.com. And to learn more about me, you would have to visit my website. I've got a couple of them, and they will be in the links down below. I'm also offering a discovery session. It's called Next Steps Life Blueprint, where if you book time for Next Steps Life Blueprint, we'll talk for anywhere from an hour to an hour and a bit, for free. Of course, it's a discovery call, and you will receive an MP3 replay. You'll also receive a written highlights of your Next Steps Blueprint that you could either work through with me as a paid consultant, or you can take anywhere else and have somebody who is also a life coach work through those next steps with you. I'm looking forward to connecting with everybody that is on Sacred You. Towards the middle of the summer, I'll be offering a brand new Calm the Overwhelm series for healers who have fallen into the early steps of burnout and overwhelm. There'll be more information on the Sacred You site, and anybody whose email addresses I have, you'll be receiving information on that as well. So that's enough about me. I'm just going to ask Sophia. Sophia, I know you're hiding. I know you're there, but you're not really hiding. You're just quiet in the background. Do we have time for one closing question?
Yes, Sue, obviously. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, but coming back to all of your brilliance, because that's what we're going to close with, is your brilliance. And here's a question I don't think a lot of people ask is discovering your own power and misusing it or underusing it. We find that we only keep returning to confront it at every turn. Now, each one of you has alluded to that before. Discovering your power, you've got all of this power that's laid out for you in the seasons of your life and on your timeline, right? Your life, your alarm clock sort of thing. It's all laid out. But we keep, for some reason, misusing it or underusing it, not even stepping into it, only to keep getting hit in the face with it over and over and over again at every turn. So who wants to start? Everybody's smiling, but nobody's got a hand up. Okay, Diane, go ahead.
Okay. So all my life, I knew that I was supposed to be doing what I'm doing now. And in the meantime, got married, 30 years, children, career, working for the largest financial institution in the world, work going up the corporate ladder. And the entire time Source is saying, excuse me, like, right? You're supposed to be a teacher. You're supposed to be sharing. You're supposed to be exploring. And I'm like, I'll be with you in a minute. And so what I have learned is that Source has a beautiful way of giving you those little nudges along the way. And then in my case, when I continued to ignore it, I ended up with a caravan up my tailpipe doing over 100 kilometers an hour, and which totally then literally knocked me out, threw my car into a tailspin and threw me directly on path of where I am today. So when it comes to the powers that we have and the life that we're supposed to be living, if we're not following the nudges along the way, the universe will definitely give it to you. So when there's so many people that I've met that they talk about, whether it be an illness or an injury of some form or another, it's like, then what happened? And you find that there's this huge pivotal that their life changed entirely. And it's like, I can relate. Like, yeah, absolutely. And our powers along the way that we learn, when we can release our belief system of how limiting we are. A few years ago, I was in Hawaii when there was an earthquake in Japan. I believe it was 2011, and Japan had an earthquake. And so, I left the luau at the end of the night. That bus driver just said, there's a 100-foot tsunami on its way. I was like, while refusing to believe that the universe would put me on a little island just to wash me off, I discovered that as the tsunami was right off the shores, connecting in with that water, sending it that calm, loving energy, there are thousands upon tens of thousands of people that are healers that were sending the exact same energy to that water of, it's okay. You can calm down now. You're loved. I watched with my own eyes. That water receded not once, but twice, with a reporter just down a mile down the reporting from CNN Live, saying that all their instruments showed that there's a tsunami directly off the shores. And the end result was it bounced between the Hawaiian Islands with no losses. When they were asked, how is that possible? He said, they're looking into it. When you tap into energy, you don't need to look into it. You will experience it. It will be more powerful than what your beliefs will. It will blow your mind as to how powerful you are. And when you tap into something that was perceived to be impossible, talking to a tsunami, a 100-foot tsunami, talking to it, send it your love, sending it your calmness. Not only do you connect in with the water, you're connecting with tens of thousands of other fellow brothers and sisters that are doing the exact same thing. You want to talk about unity? Start checking out how powerful you are.
Yeah, I've done that. Actually, I think I've done that with you and a few other healers at the same time, various hurricanes and massive storms and keeping them offshore and moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly empowering, unbelievably empowering. So thank you for sharing that. Yep, it's going to come up and whap you in the face or whap you in the butt. If you don't pay attention, it will.
Yeah.
Misused, underused, it's going to keep coming back from Diane's perspective. Now let's hear what Carmela has to say about that one.
Oh boy. Yeah, Diana hit that on the nose with, if you're not listening, the universe will make you listen. You know, it's like first they'll throw a pebble, then it'll throw a bigger one, then it'll throw a bigger one, and if you don't listen, we'll throw a big boulder at you, and will shock you to the core. And that's the only way sometimes that you really pay attention. I feel that the society has conditioned us not to believe in ourselves, not to listen to your own power, your own thoughts, your own intuition, we all have that intuition. We're born with it. We are born with it. And if you see the children are so connected. And all we have to do is just watch the children and watch them connect to the spirits. They come here with a blank slate and they understand. I have 7 grandkids. And they all, each and every one is so connected. And they so tell you different things that it'll make, like, sometimes I think like, wow, I never thought of it that way, you know? And it's so interesting. Underusing our power? Yes, here we underuse our power. Because again, we are dictated by birth, by the limitation of what people understand and know. And so we are conditioned by that, the limitation. And when we step out of that box, we are called all kinds of names. We're called, we are the outcasts, and we don't fit in, and we're this and we're that, and we don't deserve it. And who do you think you are? But in order for us to be unique, we have to stand out. You have to stand outside of the box, because otherwise you'll just be like everybody else. You won't have that uniqueness, but you came here to shine. So shine on, shine your light. Only you can dim your own light. Nobody else can do it for you.
Each one of you is delivering another piece of this puzzle that our viewers really do need to hear. Joanne, I'm counting on you to give us that last human piece. What would you like to say?
Beautiful, 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 Camilla. I could, just connected to that childlike, when we're in that childlike space of being, free to explore and, really be a child and connect with our inner child of the person we came here as, pure. And it's just a beautiful way to, I guess, have a reality check. So for me personally, I feel blessed that majority of my life was guided. I felt guided and I did listen, but obviously there was times when I didn't. And what Diana was talking about, I call that an angel clout. Okay, wake up, have a check-in with yourself and find out what it is that you're truly here to do, and stop being afraid of stepping into that. I remember selling roses in restaurants as a single mum of 4 because I was in so much fear of not being able to have survived, but also feed them, and I'm like, I did that for one season. And I'm like, what are you doing? Trust yourself. Trust that you are being guided, and little accidents like a ski trip one time, never skied in my life and thought I was an expert, and did the crucial ligament, like bang, come on, wake up, girl. So whether we are underusing our power or misusing our power, these little wake up calls are there to serve you and to guide you back into that place where your truth is, where you know you need to go. So that's just my little piece of the experience of this beautiful shares that Carmela and Diana, because I always come from the human experience, because most people are experiencing this. All right, but when you can come back into spirit, into alignment with who you truly are, that's all there is, right? That's all there is. Pure beauty, pure joy, pure spirit. Play with it, have fun, enjoy life.
What a beautiful ending for this conversation. Thank you. So, according to my mother, we have all just connected with the maze of power. We've all connected into that grid. We've all plugged into the quantum energy of it. We've all been feeding into it and feeding it back out to all of our watchers. And now we're going to be turning this over to, I believe, Sophia, because she might have some closing comments for us. This has been, by the way, before I go, I want to thank all of our panelists for bringing their whole selves completely, openly, without any restriction to this conversation. We have been talking about changing your internal clock, explore the power within during the seasons of your life. And I'm Sue Rumack. And now we've got Sophia.
And I apologize. I didn't realize I just unmuted myself. I thought I was muted when I went around because we've got dogs barking. And yes, you are, Sue, and thank you ever so much for a wonderful panel, and for Joe and for Carmela and for Diane. This has been such an interesting conversation that I've been listening to in the background, and definitely will be listening to it again. Thoroughly recommend anyone who's watching it live to share it, or if you're not watching it live and you're watching the replay, which is great, I thoroughly recommend that one too. Just wow, what a world of wisdom, and all the different ideas and beliefs about what happens to the soul before we come down here, and so much more. Love it. You're talking my language. Love it. We have to have a part 2, Sue. Part 2.
Course.
Now, yes, so, and for everyone who's watching us, do click on the links below, check out everyone's websites, all the links that I've been putting in the comments. Do connect with these beautiful women, and also check out the website of Sacred You. Very quickly before we go, I just want to say, like Sacred You, we offer many panel discussions. We've got one coming up in 2 days' time on who would you be without your story. We also offer over 20-something tribes, including the Life Force Activators tribe that Sue is the most wonderful host of. And the information on that is in the comments. We won't go over it all today, Sue, because we are running a little bit late.
We don't have to.
Yeah. And of course, Joe is the host of the Empowering You to Be Your Best Life, to Live Your Best Life. Thoroughly recommend that. But do check out all our other tribes, because you can join them just for $1 Australian. Come and experience all of our tribes, Sue's tribe, Joe's tribe, any of our other tribes, for 2 weeks, just for $1 Australian. And then after that, it's only 15 Australian dollars a month. And that I do say it's value because there's so much you get just for that 15 Australian dollars. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. And again, thank you to all the beautiful women for sharing your passion and your time with us today. It has been a real honour to be able to sit here and listen to everyone.
Thank you.